You know, if you look at the broad sweep of human history, um, if you really just zoom out and observe our behavior across almost every culture, every era, you start to notice something.
Oh, definitely. There's a pattern.
Right, a massive pattern. We have spent millennia doing exactly the same thing. We look outwards and, we look forwards.
Always to the horizon.
Exactly. We just stand there collectively staring out at the horizon, waiting. I mean, think about the ancient farmers looking up at the sky, waiting for the rain gods to finally bring a storm to save their crops.
Or the mythological structures we've built, right? Like waiting for the prophesied king to return with the sword.
Yes, exactly. And it's not just ancient history either. We do it right now.
Yeah.
Today.
Oh, absolutely.
We wait for a massive technological breakthrough, maybe artificial intelligence to magically fix climate change. We wait for the next election cycle, hoping the right leader will finally descend from the political heavens and just fix our broken societal systems.
We wait for a guru or a book or, a perfectly formulated dietary supplement.
Right. A supplement or a light to arrive from somewhere else, to finally cure what aches inside us. It really is the ultimate human default setting.
It's the waiting game.
We are perpetually engaged in the waiting game. But what if, after thousands of years of scanning the skies and refreshing our news feeds for a savior, the ultimate plot twist of the human experience is that the person you are waiting for is actually you?
Yeah, I mean, it is the ultimate inversion of the human narrative.
It really is.
We are so deeply conditioned from our earliest fairy tales to our most complex global political structures to look for an external rescue.
Always external.
Always. The idea of an internal rescue, a salvation that originates from within the individual, it feels almost completely alien to us. It creates a kind of cognitive dissonance.
Oh, for sure. It feels wrong, almost.
Exactly. We've built entire societal, economic, and religious frameworks around the concept of the external hero. And there is, honestly, a very deep psychological comfort in that.
Because it lets us off the hook.
Precisely. If the hero is coming from the outside, then your current state of suffering, your current state of waiting, it's entirely justified. You are completely off the hook. All you have to do is survive until the cavalry arrives.
Just hold down the fort.
Right. To suggest that the cavalry is already inside the walls and that you are the one who has to blow the horn is profoundly disruptive to the way we structure our daily lives.
It is incredibly disruptive, and that disruption is exactly what we're going to explore today in our deep dive.
I was looking forward to it.
So I recently came across a single, highly concentrated, almost radically subversive spiritual manifesto. It's a very brief document translated from Hebrew, and it's titled Discover the Messiah Within You, authored by Prophet Natan or Ben Zvi.
This is quite a title.
It is. And today, we are going to dive into the deep end of this text. We're going to examine it closely because despite its brevity, it completely tears down and redefines the concept of salvation.
It really pulls no punches.
Not at all. It dissects the intricate relationship between our physical bodies and our souls in a way I just haven't seen before. And it issues this really profound, almost aggressive call to wake up.
Yeah, aggressive is a good word for it.
We are going to explore the underlying logic of these claims, why our brains resist them, and most importantly, what this manifesto means for you, sitting right there listening to this conversation right now.
I think it's important to establish right away that while the source text we are analyzing today is short, it's essentially a compressed philosophical diamond. It is incredibly dense.
Super dense. Every word counts.
Exactly. Every single sentence is carrying a tremendous amount of weight. It doesn't waste any time with pleasantries or gentle introductions.
No warm-ups?
None. It challenges you, the listener, to completely invoke your perspective on where power, where truth, and where ultimate salvation actually reside.
It demands that you stop looking out the window, hoping to spot a savior on the horizon, and start looking in the mirror.
Right. It's going to challenge some of our deepest, most comfortable assumptions about who we are and what we are actually capable of.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the text doesn't tiptoe into this subject. It starts with a massive, earth-shattering paradigm shift regarding the traditional concept of the ultimate savior.
The big one.
Right. In the text, this figure is referred to as Messiah ben David. Now, before we get to what Natan or Ben Zvi says about this, we really need to understand the weight of that term.
We do.
Historically, culturally, that title conjures up very specific, very grand images, right?
Oh, absolutely. The term Messiah ben David, which translates to the Messiah, son of David, it carries an immense amount of historical, theological, and geopolitical baggage.
It's not just a casual phrase.
No, not at all. In traditional frameworks, this is not a metaphor. This is an expected historical figure. The expectation is that an actual flesh and blood human being, a direct descendant of the biblical King David, will arrive on the stage of human history at the end of days.
And this figure's job description is massive.
Huge. They're expected to be a conquering king, a brilliant military tactician, a flawless judge, and an unparalleled spiritual leader, all rolled into one.
A literal superhero.
Exactly. The traditional expectation is that this external savior will physically gather the exiled, rebuild the ruined world, enforce universal peace, and essentially force the globe into a state of spiritual harmony.
It is the ultimate externalization of hope.
It really is. Billions of people across various religious and cultural iterations have lived and died holding on to the belief that this external hero will eventually show up to fix the mechanics of a broken world.
It's the ultimate geopolitical superhero narrative. And that is exactly why the opening lines of this manifesto are just so shocking.
They are completely disarming.
Yeah, the author, Natan Orbenzvi, takes this incredibly heavy, thousands of years old expectation of a global king, and he states definitively, and I quote, "Messiah ben David is you, not someone who will come, you, the moment you remember."
The psychological and spiritual magnitude of that opening claim, it just cannot be overstated.
It's huge.
By stating, not someone who will come, you, the text immediately and violently strips away the idea of the external hero.
Just gone in a second.
Right. It takes the concept of salvation, which, for millennia, has been projected outward into a distant, hypothetical future, and it collapses it entirely into the immediate present moment.
Boom. Right here, right now.
Exactly. Salvation, in this framework, is no longer a historical event that you are waiting to witness. It is not an era that will be ushered in by a politician or a king. It is an immediate, internal realization.
It removes the timeline altogether.
You aren't on a timeline towards salvation. You are standing on top of it, completely unaware.
I really want to focus on the exact phrasing at the end of that quote, the moment you remember. That word choice feels incredibly deliberate.
It is the most critical word in the entire opening. Notice what is completely absent from that statement.
Right.
The author does not say, you will become the Messiah the moment you earn it.
He doesn't say you have to work for it.
Right. He doesn't say, the moment you study enough ancient texts, or meditate for 10,000 hours, or donate enough money to charity, or become an entirely new, morally flawless person.
Right. You don't have to grind for it. You don't have to level up your spiritual stats until you somehow unlock the savior achievement.
Precisely. The word remember implies something profound about human nature and our baseline state.
What does it imply?
Well, remembering implies that this divine status, this ultimate potential to bring light to the world, is already an inherent, fully formed reality.
Like it's already installed on the hard drive.
Yes. It is a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
You're not tasked with constructing the savior from scratch through hard work. You are simply tasked with recalling a truth that has been obscured, buried, or just forgotten by the sheer deafening noise of the human experience.
So all the stress of life just drowns it out.
Exactly. It suggests that our normal, everyday state of anxiety, fear, and feeling small is actually a state of profound amnesia.
It makes me think of an analogy.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's say you buy a lottery ticket, the mega jackpot. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right, life-changing money.
Exactly. You check the numbers, you realize you won, but you're in a rush. So you just slip the ticket into the inside pocket of a heavy winter coat hanging in the back of your closet.
Okay, I see where this is going.
And then, through some bizarre trick of the human brain, the stress of life takes over, and you just completely forget you put it there. You forget you even bought it.
Oh, that's tragic.
Right. But for all intents and purposes, your day-to-day life remains exactly the same. You are still stressing over making rent.
You're worrying about
The rising cost of groceries.
Yeah.
You are feeling that deep, visceral anxiety of scarcity in the pit of your stomach every single time you look at your bank account. You feel poor, you act poor, you make decisions based on being poor.
And yet, objectively, empirically, your financial reality is entirely different.
Exactly. The wealth is already yours. The ticket is perfectly valid. The money is sitting in a vault with your name implicitly on it.
The done deal.
It is. But the actual experience of that wealth, the freedom of it, the joy of it, the ability it gives you to change your life and lives of those around you, none of that begins until the exact moment you reach into that dark closet, feel the paper in that coat pocket, and remember what you have.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize Natan or Ben Zvi's premise. Because in your analogy, what
Okay.
actually changed the moment you found the ticket?
Nothing externally.
Right. Did you suddenly acquire new skills? Did you become a better, more virtuous person? No. The physical condition of the ticket didn't change. Your fundamental objective reality didn't change.
Just my awareness.
Exactly. The only thing that shifted was your awareness. You transitioned from a state of amnesia to a state of realization.
Wow.
The text is arguing that spiritual salvation works the exact same way.
Huh.
We're walking around feeling spiritually bankrupt, terrified of the world, hoping someone will hand us a coin, completely oblivious to the unimaginable wealth sitting in our own internal pockets.
But, and I really want to push back on this because we have to look at the practical implications.
Sure, pushback.
While this idea of inherent forgotten power sounds incredibly empowering on a philosophical level, isn't it also a terrifyingly heavy burden in reality?
How do you mean?
I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. It is very comforting to wait for someone else to save the world. It lets us completely off the hook.
It does.
If I can look at the news, see the wars, the famine, the political corruption, and say to myself, well, the world is an absolute mess, but someday the real heroes, the true leaders, or the divine will step in and fix it, then I can just go about my day.
You can just tune it out.
Right. I can go to my job, watch my shows, and sleep soundly. But if this text is right, and you, the person listening to this, are the Messiah, doesn't that mean the responsibility for literally saving a broken world is entirely on your shoulders?
It sounds like a lot.
That doesn't sound liberating. That sounds paralyzing. It sounds exhausting.
It is a very valid resistance, and honestly, it is the most natural human reaction to being handed that level of absolute agency.
It's terrifying.
It is. Our brains are wired to conserve energy, and taking responsibility for the state of the world requires an immense amount of cognitive and emotional energy. But if we look closely at how Natan, or Ben Zvi, frames this concept, I think your fear is based on a misunderstanding of what the burden actually is.
Really? How so?
Well, you are conceptualizing the role of the savior through the traditional external framework we just dismantled.
Oh, I see.
You are imagining that if you realize you are the Messiah, you suddenly have to take on a grueling worldly burden. You picture yourself having to run for global political office.
Or single-handedly broker peace treaties in war zones.
Exactly. Or cure diseases in a laboratory. You are equating salvation with a massive, impossible to-do list of external actions.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm picturing.
But the text frames this entirely differently. It frames this realization not as a call to frantic external action, but as a fundamental shift in your core identity. It is not about doing heavy lifting. It is about altering the fundamental nature of your being.
So you're saying it's a shift in your state of existence, not just a massive expansion of your daily chores.
Exactly. Let's go back to your lottery ticket analogy.
Okay.
When you finally remember you have the ticket, you don't suddenly feel a crushing burden to go buy a bank, hire 1,000 accountants, and manage global hedge funds.
Definitely not.
You simply step into the reality of being wealthy. Your posture changes. Your anxiety evaporates. You move through the world differently because your internal state has fundamentally shifted.
That makes total sense.
When the text says, the moment you remember, it means you're stepping into the reality of your own divine nature.
So the burden I'm afraid of is actually an illusion.
Yes. And the irony is that the heavy burden you are feeling right now, the exhaustion, the anxiety, the feeling of being overwhelmed by the world, that is actually the burden of the amnesia.
Wait, really?
Yes. The exhaustion you are experiencing is the exhaustion of pretending to be smaller than you actually are.
Oh, wow.
It takes an incredible amount of psychological energy to repress your true nature, to constantly convince yourself that you are powerless, and to live in a perpetual state of waiting. Waking up, remembering, is actually the release of that burden.
Wow. The exhaustion of pretending to be smaller than you are, that is a profound way to look at human anxiety. We are tired because we are actively suppressing our own internal architecture just to fit into a narrative of powerlessness.
Precisely.
That actually transitions us perfectly into the next major concept in the manifesto. Because if we're going to accept this premise, if we're going to entertain the idea that we hold this inner savior, this incredible dormant power, we really need to understand the anatomy of it.
We need a map.
Right. What exactly are we made of in this framework? Natan or Ben Zvi doesn't leave this as a vague, mystical concept. He explicitly defines the architecture of the self, breaking it down into 3 distinct components: the you, the soul, and the body.
Yes. The text moves brilliantly from the grand, shocking claim about the Messiah into a very precise, almost clinical spiritual taxonomy. It gives us a map of the internal landscape.
I want to lay out the exact definitions from the text because they really build on each other.
Let's hear them.
First, it defines you, the complete entity, as a divine soul in a human body with a mission.
Good.
Then it breaks that entity down into its two core parts. It defines the soul as your eternal part, the connection to light, to truth, to love. This is what you really are.
Very specific.
And finally, it defines the body as your vessel in this world. When the soul illuminates it, it becomes a temple.
What's fascinating here is the very distinct, deliberate dualism presented by the author.
The split between body and soul.
Exactly. The text clearly separates the human architecture into the eternal and the temporary. The soul is the eternal component. The body is the temporary component. Now, on the surface, this might sound familiar.
Yeah, a lot of religions do that.
Right. Many philosophical and religious traditions throughout history, from the ancient Gnostics to various ascetic movements, have relied on a strict body-soul dualism. But there is a crucial nuance here that separates Natan Orbenzvi's manifesto from those older philosophies.
Right, because usually in those older frameworks, the body is treated like the enemy.
Exactly. Throughout history, many spiritual traditions have framed the physical body as a prison for the soul.
With a cage.
Yes, a cage. They view the physical world and the flesh as something inherently dirty, sinful, or distracting. The goal in those frameworks is often to punish the body, to deny its needs, to escape it entirely so the soul can be free.
Right, to transcend the meat suit.
Exactly. The body is seen as an anchor that drags the divine down into the mud.
Hmm.
But look closely at the text. Natan Orbenzvi does not condemn the physical body at all.
He calls it a vessel in this world.
Yes, and that word vessel is vital. A vessel is not a prison. A vessel is a tool.
It's meant to hold something.
It is a necessary container designed for a specific environment. The text elevates the physical body. It recognizes that in order for the eternal soul to interact with the physical world, it requires a physical interface, but it goes a step further. It says that when the soul illuminates the body becomes a temple.
Let's build an analogy for this because I think vessel and temple can sound a bit abstract.
I love your analogies. Let's do it.
Imagine a beautifully crafted stained glass lamp.
Okay, picture it.
If you look at this stained glass lamp sitting in a dark room, unlit and unplugged, what is it? It's just a nice object.
Just a piece of glass and metal.
Right. It's heavy, the glass feels cold to the touch, the colors are opaque and dull. It's just taking up space on a table. In that state, it is merely a vessel. That is the physical body operating without the awareness of the soul.
I like where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
And to add a layer to that, think about how we treat that unlit lamp. Over time, it gathers dust.
Oh, absolutely.
We might accidentally bump it, scratch the glass, or chip the base. That dust, those are our traumas, our daily stresses, the physical toll of living in the world.
The wear and tear of life.
Exactly. When the lamp is unlit, all you see is the dust and the scratches. All you focus on are the flaws of the vessel.
And that is exactly it. But then what happens? You plug the lamp into the wall. You turn on the bulb inside.
The light comes on.
In this framework, turning on the bulb is the act of remembering your eternal soul. The moment that internal light clicks on, the entire nature of the object fundamentally transforms.
It's no longer just a cold object.
No.
Ah.
Suddenly, the glass isn't just a heavy, cold material. It becomes a radiant, mesmerizing source of color and warmth that completely changes the atmosphere of the room.
It alters its environment.
Yes. The light uses the physical structure, even the scratches and the dust, to express itself in the physical world in a way it couldn't do if it was just a naked bulb. The vessel is no longer just a container. It is actively radiating. It becomes the temple.
That is a perfect visualization of the text's intent. And if we look even deeper at how the text defines the soul, the bulb in your analogy, we find something incredibly powerful.
What's that?
The text says the soul is the connection to light, to truth, to love. But it doesn't stop there. It adds a definitive anchor sentence. This is what you really are.
This is what you really are. It's such an uncompromising statement.
It really is.
It is not saying that you have love in your heart or that you occasionally seek truth when it's convenient. It is saying that your fundamental, irreducible identity is the connection to those things.
What's fascinating here is how this architecture radically elevates the listener's baseline self-worth.
What do you mean?
Think about the implications of that definitive statement.
Hmm.
If you accept the premise that your core identity, the deepest, truest, most eternal part of your being, is literally composed of an unbroken connection to truth and love,
Hmm.
then what do we make of all the negative emotions we experience?
Right, because I definitely don't feel like pure truth and love when I'm stuck in rush hour traffic. Or when I'm feeling incredibly insecure in a meeting, or when I find myself gossiping out of jealousy. If my core is immaculate light, where is all that darkness coming from?
In the context of this manifesto, those negative states, the deep insecurity, the feelings of unworthiness, the sudden flashes of malice, the imposter syndrome, those are not revelations of your true, secret, dark nature.
They aren't.
No. We spend so much time in therapy or self-reflection terrified that if we dig deep enough, we will find out that we are fundamentally broken or bad.
That at the bottom, we're just selfish.
Right. Natnar or Bensvi is telling you that you have it entirely backwards and the darkness is not your core. Those negative states are merely symptoms of the forgetting we discussed earlier.
They are what happens when the lamp is unplugged.
Exactly. When you forget you have a bulb, you mistake the cold, dusty glass for your entire identity. You think you are the scratches.
Wow.
You think you are the coldness. But those are just surface-level conditions of an unilluminated vessel.
That completely reframes how we look at our own mental and emotional struggles.
It really does.
Like if I snap at a coworker, or if I feel a wave of deep imposter syndrome, I don't have to spiral into a crisis of self-worth. I don't have to say, wow, I guess I'm just a terrible, inadequate person at my core.
You don't.
Instead, I can recognize it as mechanical failure. I can say, I'm experiencing a moment of amnesia. I have temporarily forgotten my internal architecture. I've unplugged my own lamp.
Precisely. The text offers a profound, almost aggressive liberation from shame.
Liberation from shame. I love that.
It insists that beneath all the psychological baggage, beneath the accumulated trauma of simply being a human in a difficult world, your original blueprint remains immaculate. You cannot corrupt the soul. You can only forget it.
And remembering, it is all that is required to turn the vessel back into a temple.
Exactly.
But here is where my practical mind starts hitting a wall.
Okay, let's hear the wall.
Being an immaculate, illuminated temple sounds beautiful, it sounds incredibly peaceful, but it also sounds very static.
Static.
Like a magnificent monument just sitting quietly on a hill. Yet the text specifically states, right in its definition of the whole you, that we are here with a mission.
Right.
A monument doesn't have a mission, it just exists. So how does a supposedly static temple execute a dynamic mission in a messy world?
That is the million-dollar question.
This brings us to what I believe is the most actionable, functional part of the entire manifesto, the sequence of illumination.
This is a crucial transition in the text. It moves from definition to operation.
It's practical.
Very practical. The manifesto provides a very clear step-by-step roadmap for how this internal divine reality is supposed to interface with the external physical world. Because you are right, it isn't just about sitting alone in a quiet room feeling divine and peaceful.
You actually have to do something.
There is a specific required directional flow of energy.
Let me read the exact quote outlining this sequence. It says, "Your soul illuminates the body, the thoughts, the words, the world."
This is a highly specific, four-step sequence of manifestation. And the order in which the author places these elements is brilliant and, quite frankly, counterintuitive to how most of us try to live our lives.
Let's dissect the mechanics of each step.
Okay, let's start with step one.
The source of the light is the soul. But the first thing it hits, the first thing it has to illuminate is the body.
Yes. The illumination must start completely internally with the physical vessel housing the soul. Before you can think clearly or speak truth, your physical being must be brought into alignment.
So we're talking about basic physical reality here.
In modern terms, we might look at this as somatic regulation.
Nervous system stuff.
Exactly. If your nervous system is completely frayed, if your body is exhausted, malnourished, or running entirely on adrenaline and cortisol, the light of the soul is trapped.
Can't get it out.
It cannot shine through a vessel that is actively breaking down.
Yeah.
You have to occupy your physical space first. You have to honor the vessel before it can be a temple.
That makes sense. You plug the lamp into the base first.
Exactly.
Then, step two, the light moves to the thoughts.
Once the physical vessel is stable, the illumination moves upward into the cognitive realm. This is the arena of how we perceive, process, and interpret reality.
And our thoughts can be pretty chaotic.
Oh, absolutely. We all have thousands of automatic thoughts every day, many of them cyclical, cynical, or fear-based.
A lot of fear.
Right. Illuminating the thoughts means allowing that core connection to truth and love to filter your perception. Instead of viewing a challenging situation through the lens of fear or victimhood, an illuminated thought process views it through a lens of clarity and underlying connection.
So it changes the filter.
Yes, it is the active practice of cognitive reframing based on your divine identity.
So your body is calm, your mind is clear and aligned with truth. Now we reach step 3, the words. This feels like a massive leap.
It is the critical threshold. Steps 1 and 2, the body and the thoughts are entirely internal. Nobody else can see them.
Right, they're invisible to the outside.
But the words are the bridge between your internal universe and the external universe. Words have physical reality. They create sound waves that literally vibrate the air and enter the bodies of other people.
It's where the invisible suddenly becomes audible. It's the moment of translation.
Exactly. And words have incredible creative and destructive power. Think about how a single sentence from someone you respect can build your confidence for a lifetime.
Or how a harsh word can tear it down in seconds.
Illuminating your words means ensuring that what crosses that threshold from your mind to your mouth carries the signature of that internal light.
It means speaking truth.
Speaking truth, speaking with empathy, and refusing to use your voice to add darkness to the room.
And that leads us to the final step, step 4, the world, the ultimate impact on reality itself.
The final destination.
According to this sequence, the mission we are tasked with isn't necessarily a specific career path. It's not a mandate to become a famous doctor or write a best-selling book or found a global charity.
No, it's not a job description.
Yeah. The mission is the very act of illumination through this exact sequence. By consistently allowing the eternal soul to shine through your physical presence, then through your cognitive framework, and finally through the physical reality of your speech, you naturally and inevitably alter the fabric of the world around you.
The world is shaped by the cumulative effect of illuminated individuals interacting with it.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. I want to look closely at the order of operations here, because the negative space, what the text doesn't say, is just as important as what it does say.
What stands out to you?
Notice how it specifically does not say the soul illuminates the world first.
Oh, right.
You cannot just jump straight from realizing you have a soul to saving the world. According to the strict mechanics laid out by Natan or Benzvi, you have to illuminate your own physical body and you have to illuminate your own messy thoughts before your words can ever hope to have a positive impact on the world. It is strictly, undeniably, an inside-out job.
It is a profound observation, and it is a massive indictment of how we often operate today.
How so?
This text runs directly counter to a lot of modern culture, specifically modern activism and social discourse, which frequently demands that we fix the world while completely neglecting our internal state.
Oh, that is so true. We're all just yelling on the internet.
Exactly. We are constantly pressured to loudly diagnose and cure societal ills. Step 4, the world, while completely skipping steps 1, 2, and 3. The manifesto is advocating for it is an act of mechanical necessity. Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, you are useless to the person next to you. In fact, you become another liability. The text is applying the physics of light to human action. You cannot export what you do not internally possess.
You can't pump fresh water out of a poisoned well.
Exactly. If you are physically exhausted, deeply resentful, and your thoughts are incredibly dark, cynical, and driven by ego, you cannot skip to step 4 and expect your actions to bring genuine light to the world.
You'll just spread the chaos.
You might be shouting about justice, but the energy of your words will be carrying your internal darkness, your anger, and your unresolved trauma. You are trying to illuminate a dark room with a broken, flickering bulb.
And that just gives everyone a headache.
Right. Your impact on the world will simply be a projection of your own unilluminated state. You might tear down a bad system, but you won't be able to build a healthy one in its place because you don't possess the blueprint of health internally.
That makes the concept of saving the world incredibly intimate, doesn't it? We always picture saving the world as this grand external battle.
Always a battle.
But the text suggests that you save the world by first letting your own soul save your nervous system, and then letting it save your thoughts. You save the world by refusing to add your own internal chaos to the collective environment.
The macro is entirely dependent on the micro. The mission requires the sequence. The temple must be fully lit from within before it can act as a beacon for anyone else.
It's quiet work.
It is quiet, consistent work. The most effective way to change external reality is to become a conductive, unobstructed channel for the truth and love that already exists in your core, letting it cascade sequentially through your physical and cognitive systems until it inevitably naturally spills out into your environment.
So we have thoroughly mapped out the mechanics. We started with the shocking redefinition that we are the
The
savior.
big shock.
We examined the architecture. We are an eternal soul inside a physical vessel that is meant to be a temple. And we just traced the exact sequence of how that soul's light is supposed to ripple outward, from body to thoughts to words to the world.
We have the whole map.
Having established all of this underlying logic, the manifesto now shifts gears. We arrive at the crescendo of the text, the final commanding quotes that serve as the ultimate spiritual call to action.
Yes. Up until this point, the text has been defining concepts and outlining mechanisms.
Right, it's been very explanatory.
But in these final lines, the manifesto shifts from philosophical explanation into direct, imperative instruction. It stops explaining and starts demanding.
The text culminates with two profound declarations, followed by three rapid-fire commands. Let's look at the declarations first.
Okay.
It says, "The kingdom of heaven is within you, and the light you are waiting for is the light that you are."
Let's break down that first declaration. The kingdom of heaven is within you.
That's a heavy phrase.
It is. With a single sentence, Natan or Ben Zvi is pulling down centuries, if not millennia, of theological geography.
Theological geography, I like that.
In the dominant cultural narratives, the kingdom of heaven is almost universally conceptualized as a physical place. It is a destination.
Right, with gates and clouds.
Exactly. It is a walled city in the clouds, or a paradise you get to travel to as a reward for good behavior after you die. It is always somewhere else, and it is always later.
Always later.
By stating it is within you, the text completely demolishes the idea of an external destination.
It's not a place you go to.
Precisely. According to this document, the kingdom of heaven is not a geographical location or a post-mortem reward. It is a state of conscious realization.
It's state of being.
It is the fully awakened awareness of your own divine architecture that we just spent time dissecting. You don't travel to the kingdom. You unlock it by illuminating the temple.
The kingdom is already fully built. The walls are up, the streets are paved. You just have to walk through the door of your own mind.
Beautifully put.
And that leads directly into the second declaration, which honestly I think is the most emotionally devastating line in the entire piece. The light you are waiting for is the light that you are.
The emotional resonance of that line is staggering.
It really hits you.
It cuts straight through the philosophy and directly addresses the core human condition of yearning.
Yearning is the perfect word for it. We all have that ache.
That constant ache.
That persistent, low-grade fever of dissatisfaction. It's that subtle sense that our real life hasn't quite started yet, that it's happening somewhere else, or that true peace is just over the next horizon. We are always waiting.
Waiting for Friday.
Yes, we wait for Friday so we can finally relax. We wait for the next vacation so we can finally be happy. We wait for the promotion so we can finally feel secure.
We wait for someone to fall in love with us so we can finally feel worthy.
Exactly. We are perpetually sitting in the dark, waiting for the sun to come up.
Yes. And the text diagnoses all of that human suffering, all of that endless, exhausting waiting, as simply a tragic case of mistaken identity.
Mistaken identity.
Yes. It is telling us that we are literal sources of immense light, walking around the world masquerading as impoverished, freezing people sitting in the dark, begging the universe for the dawn to arrive.
Oh, man.
We are shivering uncontrollably while holding the match. We are starving to death with a winning lottery ticket in our pocket.
So what does this all mean for the listener? How do we stop shivering? How do we strike the match?
The text answers that with its final three words.
3 rapid-fire staccato commands. Wake up. Remember who you are. Discover the Messiah within you.
There is such an urgent rhythm to these final instructions.
It feels completely different from the rest of the text. It feels like someone grabbing you by the shoulders and shaking you or snapping their fingers loudly right in front of your face.
It is an intervention. It's a direct plea to the listener's consciousness. And what is most telling is the nature of the verbs used.
Right. Wake up. Remember. Discover.
The text is fundamentally not asking you to adopt a new, complicated belief system. It is not saying, memorize these rules, practice these rituals, and try really hard to believe in this new dogma. It's saying, snap out of the trance.
Which implies that our current state is a trance.
Yes, the urgency of the command, wake up, implies that our default state, Our constant anxiety, our endless waiting, our deep feelings of powerlessness and insignificance is essentially a form of sleepwalking.
We're asleep at the wheel.
We are navigating the physical world, going to our jobs, paying our bills, but spiritually and consciously we are deeply asleep. We are asleep to our own power. We are dreaming that we are weak. The manifesto is not a textbook. It is an alarm clock.
It really is an alarm clock. It is a brilliantly constructed shock to the system. We have covered a tremendous amount of philosophical ground today based on a very short text, but I think the through line is incredibly clear.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the entire text is a unified argument for reclaiming human agency at the most fundamental level.
Let's retrace our steps to see how tight that argument is. We started this deep dive with that initial shocking premise. The savior you've been waiting for, the hero you hope will fix the world, is actually you.
The ultimate plot twist.
We unpacked how your true, irreducible identity is not your anxiety or your flaws, but an eternal soul permanently connected to truth and love.
The soul is the bulb.
Right. We saw how that soul's purpose is to transform your temporary physical body into a radiant temple. We debated the mechanics of the mission, how you can't just skip to saving the world, but must ensure internal illumination happens first.
The body, the thoughts, the words.
Exactly, rippling out sequentially. And finally, we arrived at the profound realization that the kingdom of peace isn't a place on a map, and the light isn't arriving tomorrow. The light you've been desperately waiting for is the light you already possess.
It is a philosophy of radical empowerment. But, as we discussed, that empowerment comes with a price.
You can't just keep waiting.
Right. It requires the absolute abandonment of our favorite, most comfortable excuse. The belief that we are powerless victims waiting for rescue. You cannot hold on to your amnesia and claim your power at the same time.
You have to choose. I want you, the person listening to this right now, wherever you are, to really think about your life today. Look at your daily routines, look at your relationships, look at your internal monologues. How much time do you spend waiting?
We all do it.
We really do. Waiting for the right moment to speak up, waiting for the right person to come along and make you feel whole, waiting for external circumstances to magically align so you can finally feel at peace. This text is challenging you to stop looking out the window. Look at your own hands. Look at the immense power of your own thoughts.
The power is already there.
Realize that the power source is already plugged in. The wealth is already in your pocket. Your body, with all its flaws and scratches, is entirely ready to be a temple. The stained glass is already assembled. You just have to make the conscious choice to flip the switch.
It leaves us with a necessary lingering friction. A question to carry with you after this conversation ends.
What's the question?
If this text is correct,
Yeah.
if your soul is inherently divine, if you are permanently connected to eternal truth and love, and if your ultimate grand destiny is simply to remember that you are the light of the world, what was it about the human experience that caused such a powerful divine being to fall asleep and forget its own identity in the first place?
That's a deep question.
Why is the amnesia so incredibly strong? And more importantly, what will actually happen tomorrow morning in your own life, in your own home, if you finally choose to wake up?